Alright guys, I'm Jesse. Tonight I'm going to look at some cables. We're going to start with some power cables. These are just a few that I've had around that I've been using for quite some time. At least for a year. And with several different amps. Some I've done reviews on. As recent is the VTV Hypex amp. My Emotiva A300, the Behringer A800, my Marantz SR4021. Oh, I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Yeah, I think even a Crown XLS amp. Quite a few different amps. Basically any amp that has the IEC plug. We'll get down to it, but out of all of these are probably the four main ones I've been using. We'll start with this fat one. That's probably the most interesting. Yeah, not a bad cable. It's it's a 10 by 3 or 10 gauge 3 conductor power cable. I think you can get these for like 40 bucks on Amazon and eBay. They're, as far as I can tell, I've taken it apart compared to some other ones much more expensive that look like this, and they're pretty much the same. I don't know what these other companies, other than their name and their kind of all the BS they put about the cable on their website, sells it. But taking this $40 audio eBay or Amazon Audiophile cable apart, it's almost identical to a lot of these high-end ones that are charging hundreds of dollars, if not more, and giving you a bunch of information, subjective information on their usually crappy website that they can't prove. No measurements, no nothing, just a bunch of hearsay and smoke and mirrors. This one, let's start at this end. It does have gold-plated, I think gold-plated copper post, and then I think it's a nickel-plated ground. You can see it says high end. Some sort of part number, and then the plug is, I can get to focus, made in Japan. Let's see if I can read it. OEAD electric. I don't know. Made in Japan. Nice heavy duty plug. I'll give them that. I've taken it apart. This is a true 10 gauge cable in there. All heavy connections and everything in there, just like the expensive ones. And then on this end, it's the same deal. Gold-plated copper on your hot and neutral, and then nickel-plated, I believe, on the ground. All nice, heavy, thick connectors. Yeah, it's heavy. The silliest thing about these too is, I mean, I don't see anyone would need a 10 gauge cable for a home amplifier, but it's so stiff. Plugging this thing into the back of an amplifier, you really got to let it kind of run out, because it's just too stiff. If you try to bend it, it's putting a lot of tension on this plug in the back of your amplifier. I wonder if I have an amplifier I can plug it into for you guys. Here we go. It's the little knob sound TPA 3255. Reviewed, has a IEC. And whoop, there we go. Bumping the camera. This cable is so heavy, about knocked the camera over. But yeah, I mean, it fits in nicely and everything. I mean, if you got the room behind your component to let this thing kind of, do its thing, it's not a big deal. But if you're trying to really get this in behind something and you really got to bend it, it's putting a lot of pressure on that IEC plug. So fits wonderfully though. And then a nice braided jacket, which is mostly for aesthetics. And I don't think I've ever really had this stuff actually protect a cable too much. I mean, maybe from like light duty stuff, but any actual major, I don't know, trauma or anything, usually. I used to do structured cabling and stuff in factories, and a lot of times this braiding, it can be helpful, but usually it's not enough to actually save a cable from hard hits, we'll say. Did find the paperwork that came with this cable. I think it was about 40 bucks. and I don't remember if I got it off Amazon or eBay, but you can find it either place, I think. Go over a few things here they use to advertise this cable. I'm gonna laugh at it, but I'm gonna let them get away with it because it's for $40. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's when they try to pass on this kind of BS on a cable like this and then ask $1,000 for it, and then offer not one shred of scientific proof or anything that it does what they say. But yeah, we'll go over some of these things here. Top of the line, here's your chance to own our gold-plated 5N. Let's read it together. 5N OFC 99.999% pure high-end power cable. Oh boy. The 5N, they like to use this a lot in the cable marketing. The N just stands for 9. This stands for 5 nines, and then you can see the 5 nines here, 99.999%. As if you could hear a difference if it was 99% pure copper versus 99.999% pure copper. You're definitely not going to hear a difference. Some of them, I think, you can get up to, you'll see like 4N, 5N, sometimes like 6N, OFC or OCC. Was it continuous cast copper or something? So yeah, don't be swindled by the 4, 5, 6N OFC blah blah blah. You're never going to hear the difference between 99% and 99.999% oxygen-free copper. This power cable comes loaded with premium parts, gold-plated power poles, so you can have the ultimate maximum power on demand. Because I'd say most amplifiers that people are using this with are probably not going to pull more than 100 or 200 watts from the wall. So it's not like you're trying to power a grain auger or something that actually requires a ton of power. But yeah, you could a 10x3. You could probably run like a welder off this or something, let alone a dinky little home amplifier. These are gold-plated connectors onto 10 or 14 AUG power cables for your most demanding hi-fi audio equipment. I went with a 10 just to be as silly as possible. I wanted to see a 10x3 power cable for an amplifier. Audiophiles know that cleaning up their AC supplies can yield a cornucopia of sonic benefits, including a quieter background, better retrieval of detail, and a subjectively wider dynamic range. Now that sentence is just a nice pile of BS, the entire sentence. Better retrieval of detail, and a subjectively wider, right there, subjectively, not objective. No need to spend hundreds of dollars on the competition name brands when you can get even better quality right here for over 65% less. Now that is true. It's probably the only true thing on this piece of paper, maybe. True high fidelity from this cable is transparent and flawless. Now that's a serious word. Flawless? It's like perfect. Nothing's perfect. Background sound is clean and quiet. You see what they're doing here? They're setting a psychoacoustic stage here. These are you're going to read this, and then you're going to look for this shit when you actually plug this cable into your amplifier. And then you're going to hear it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a general cleaning up and brightness of the top end with faster, more assertive attacks and longer, lovelier decays. Oh, man. There's so much I could go on, but I'm not gonna. This video gets super long. Mid frequency is sweet, thick, and juicy. Where both ends of the extension is amazing. See, this is the kind of crap these companies use, and it's them. I'm letting them get away with it because it's a crappy $40 cable. It has nothing to do with it being made in China. A lot of high-end crap's made in China now, so a lot of people can leave the made in China at the door. they get away with it because they're not raping people monetarily. Literally, by what you pay for these, you can buy these plugs on AliExpress and stuff, and then I can literally go down to my local farm fleet and buy some 10x3 south wire, and by the time I add it all up and put it together, it's a little cheaper than this. So they're probably buying these parts in quantity, so they're able to make these cables and sell them for $40 and actually make money on them, where these other pretentious audio companies pretty much make them for the same price, maybe a little more. They add their own touch and do maybe a little more web development and logistics and stuff around it. But a lot of these pretentious companies that make these cables, the reason they go after cables is because they can make them for not much and then sell them for literally, I don't know, probably 10 to 100 times what they pay to make them. Let's see. The sound is accurately detailed, smooth, and vibrant, almost as if I can hear the person inhale between notes, all because of a power cable. Has nothing to do with the way it was nothing to do with the way the song was recorded and the microphones they use and the engineering and mastering that went into it. No, it's the power cable. I couldn't hear that person breathe in between notes before, but now I can because I got this power cable. This power cable fixed the song. Now it sounds so much better. Nothing but clear, precise, neutral, and true sound will come from a cable of this caliber. Oh, man. I can't wait to plug this thing in, and my music's going to sound so much better. You know what makes your music sound a lot better, and it's way cheaper? Just have a couple beers. Your music will sound awesome. That's way cheaper and a lot more fun. I've received feedback from customers who were astounded by an immediate improvement in detail, separation of voices and instruments, soundstage width and depth, and most especially by a huge increase in bass articulation. Oh, man. This is the kind of crap my wife reads in her sex books, probably. Sudden musical synergy as if by magic. Give your high-end audio the one missing piece it's been missing. What? Give your high-end audio the one missing piece it's been missing. That's not right. And sit back and enjoy recordings the way artist intended. Well, most artists don't really give a crap about any audio equipment. Most of them don't even have that nice sound equipment. And most, I guarantee 99.999% 5N of artists could give a shit about a power cable. Oh, let's see. 100% brand new and very high quality. 5N oxygen-free copper. I'm not saying not all the nines again. Oxygen-free copper conductors. OFC is not that big of a deal. Most wire that you buy for anything is OFC. No, it's just the acronyms. In the audio industry, they love to jerk off acronyms. No stamped brass parts. Excellent power delivery. Low noise floor. This cable, as a passive device, has such a low noise floor. High-end performance for components equipped with IEC power connections. Cable overall we're not going to get into that. We don't care about conductor size. You can get it in 3, 6, or 8 feet. I went with 3 feet, not because I'm cheap, because with almost any cable, shorter is better. But yet, this cable will perform exactly the same whether you get a 3-foot or an 8-foot. And it's the same thing with like AudioQuest cables or any of the other cables. Whether you get the short one or the long one, they do exactly the same thing, because 1 second they're so concerned about these super precise measurements of inductance, resistance, and then even the most minuscule values of inductance, resistance, capacitance in a cable you can hear, but they sell that same cable in 3-foot and 12-foot. And then the 12-footer has no added components to match it to the 3-foot or vice versa. But yet they sell you the same cable and tell you they sound the same. It's not possible. They just know you're not going to hear a difference between the 3 foot and the 12 foot, even though the LCR, or I think it's LCR, it's having a brain fart, but yeah, the inductance, capacitance, resistance values are going to be quite a bit different just because of the length of the cable. But never mind that, you know. Let's see, volts, amps, yeah, says it supports up to 15 amps. That's it. Most, who does the UR rating or whatever on 10 amps, or on 10 gauge wires, usually more than 15 amps. And that doesn't matter. Gold-plated copper poles, went over that. Premium Tech Flex Tech Weave braided with sleeving. That's just aesthetics. If you like nice-looking cables, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not willing to pay, you know, thousands of dollars for it. Then they throw a bunch of standards in down here just because they need more shit to add to their list of specifications. But yeah, it's you're gonna need your knee-high boots to, you know, walk through this amount of bullshit. But then again, like this one, I can recommend it if you're looking for a fat, pretty cable. Not necessarily to make your system sound better, but if you like the way it looks cool, you know, and $40, get something like this. I wouldn't waste your money, $1,000, you know, a couple $100 or $1,000 on some, I don't know, could be foreign cable made in China with some fancy name that's exclusive to some old fart sniffers. When underneath all of it, it's the same cable. And, you know, this one, they don't mention any shielding when I see this one does not have any shielding. Really shouldn't be an issue for most people, having your power cable being shielded. Not going to get into a lot of the detail on that stuff. There's plenty of people, especially like Audio Science Review and stuff, that will explain why having a shielded power cable is not really necessary for most people. Moving on, the other cables I use is this blue guy right here. This is another alternative if you don't want to use just the standard, like this is, I think, is a 18 by 3. Yeah, this is an 18 by 3. There's a lot of these around. This is pretty standard, what comes with almost all electrical equipment. If you don't want to use one of those for some reason, you want something better, you can get something like this. This one just happens to be blue. You can get it in other colors. This is a hospital grade cable. And this one, I believe, is 14 by 3. It's a little thicker, but it's still somewhat flexible. Does it make any of my amplifiers sound any better? No, it's not made any difference. All these, like I said, all these power cables, I've tried them on every amplifier I've had. I've never made a noticeable difference. But yeah, it's just a nicer, a little bit tougher, heavier cable. Maybe it'll last longer if you have audio equipment that you're connecting and disconnecting a lot or something. I think I have a link pulled up. You can get hospital grade cables on Amazon or eBay. Most of them, I think you can still get them down to like 18 gauge if you need it, but a lot of them are going to be 16 or 14 gauge with much better plugs on each end. Usually the wire's a little bit better quality, a little more flexible, just because they're meant to be used in a hospital environment where the cable has to be more reliable. So hospital grade cables are a easy way or a cheap way to get a good cable. Like a lot of these, they're, you know, 10 to 15, maybe $20 for a little bit bigger, longer one. But yeah, if you're looking for a good way to get a decent cable that's going to last, that's been tested and it's reliable, just look for hospital grade cables. Cable I made. It's probably one of my favorites. This is just an IEC plug I bought off Amazon. You can get a pack of like 5 or 10 of them for not much. Nothing super fancy. They just have nickel plated, probably brass terminations inside there. I don't want to take it apart, but they're heavy enough. They're gonna be able to. I think this one, it says it's good for up to 10 amps. And then this is just a power plug I got from the local farm store here in town. It's the little bit better quality one with I think it's the hot is brass, and then you got a nickel plated, or yeah, these two are brass, and then the hot is a nickel plated or something. And then just some good old 14 by 3 made in USA South wire. Water resistant, UV resistant. Yep, 14x3. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not, because again, it wants to focus on TV. There you go. Yeah. And one thing I love about this cable is it's 14x3, and yet it's just super flexible. You know, just easy to plug in, even though it's 14 gauge. I just measured from my amplifier to my power strip and just did the shortest one possible. I think all said and done, I think I spent like maybe $8 to make this cable. It took me like 5 minutes to put it together. It's a nice cable. I love, like I said, my favorite thing about it is the south wire, whatever it is. It's a really soft feeling jacket, and it's flexible. So nice cable. Has not made any difference to any of the amplifiers I use. But it's a nice cable. I don't know if I'm going to make any more of my own because it's just so cheap to buy. You know, like a lot of these hospital grade cables, you can get them in all kinds of lengths. I've also got a couple of these standard cables you get with stuff, and I have some that are all the way up to, I think, 14 gauge that have come with some like heavy duty power supplies for computers that I've had, like 1,000-watt computer power supplies, and then I've got a couple heavy duty ones of these that, you know, come with like heavy office equipment, like big copiers and stuff. Usually come with heavier power cables. I've got a few of those. Tried those with a bunch of amps, and yeah, doesn't really make any difference. Moving on. Let's do RCA cables next. Standard old. I don't know. Literally just your basic generic right-left RCA. Then I got this little bit nicer, I think it's HOSA or HOSA, H-O-S-A, coax cable here. Dual shielded, these nice silver ends. Very pretty. Gold-plated connectors. Nice spring retention. These are more aimed towards the professional audio, but I just like the way they look. And then the cable is a very flexible, soft jacket cable with dual shielding. I think these go for like $10 on Amazon. And next up is the seismic audio. These are probably my favorite RCAs. Nice heavy ends. These are also geared towards pro audio. Nice heavy metal ends. Nice thick, I don't know, collars or sleeves on there that connect. Not so much like some of the monsters and other ones that fit so snug they about break your RCA inputs. But these, every set of these I've ever had, they just plug in so nicely. And then I like, again, the metal retention on there is nice. And it is kind of annoying because some of these will start to come unscrewed. My phone is just in dead set on focusing on the TV and not on what I'm doing. But yeah, you can see they are soldered in there. Pretty good. Yeah. But these, if it's becoming an issue, I just take like a dab of wood glue or just some really basic glue, not necessarily like super glue, but like wood glue or craft glue, and just put a tiny dot on the threads there, and then thread this down. And once it dries, it won't keep coming unscrewed. But yet, if you ever need to get it unscrewed, you still can, because, you know, hopefully you didn't use like super glue or Gorilla Glue. So yeah, these are seismic audio. You can get these in a couple different lengths. The cable is very similar to the HOSA. It's just really soft, almost like a silicone, very flexible. They don't come with any, I don't know what you call them, the supports or whatever at the ends to keep the cables from splitting. That way, if you want, you can pull them apart. You don't have to leave them together. If you want them to stay together, you know, just put a small zip tie or something on there and they won't separate. But I do kind of like that they leave them separated, because I have a couple pair of these I have pulled apart for, what amplifier? I had an amplifier where the right and left input was like 6 inches apart, and a standard RCA cable only spreads apart, you know, so far it wouldn't reach. So it was kind of nice. I could just pull this apart. Yeah. So yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. And then here we got, this is just I got bored and had some extra gold RCAs laying around, and I had some red Cat6 laying around. So I took some Cat6, separated the 4 pairs. Twisted the 4 stripes together and then the 4 solids together. And there's my right and left. And then soldered them and crimped them down, put some heat shrink over them. And just to see if using Cat6 Ethernet cable as a signal or RCA cable was any good. It works. Doesn't sound any better. Not that I could tell anyway. Not too bad. This is unshielded Cat6, so it's a little more flexible. It's just not bad. And the nice thing about Cat6 or Ethernet cables, it's super cheap, and it's always copper. I wouldn't be surprised if they make it, but I've never seen a copper-clad aluminum Ethernet cable. So, and yes, you can use Ethernet cable as speaker wire. I wouldn't split it. I would twist all 8 wires or 4 pairs together, because I think all of them combined makes, I want to say, around 14 or 15 gauge. But yeah, I had some extra Cat6 laying around and some RCA, so I put some ends on it, terminated it. They work. I keep them around. I still use them, but again, no audible difference. Let's see. Then I got these. These are by a company called SKW, off of Amazon, and they're a really nice heavy braided RCA audio cable. They even give you these little color-coded condoms to put over your terminations to protect them, so your beautiful shiny connectors don't get all scratched up in shipping, or when you have them in storage. You can keep your RCA cables all really shiny and pretty. They are really nice. I'll give them that. These, again, like that power cord, I'm going to give them crap, but I'm going to allow it because these are only like $30. That's one thing I do like about SKW, is they kind of get on the pretentious BS cable bandwagon, but they don't ask you for thousands of dollars for the stuff. Some of their nicer wires are still only maybe, I think, $120 for like some of their nicer speaker wires. And even like this is the shortest. Again, I go shortest because shortest is best for sound quality, but it's also cheaper. And yeah, they're really nice cables, very nice I don't know, terminations or plugs on the ends. They fit snug, not too tight, not too loose. They fit well. I'll give them that. Nice heavy duty. I don't remember what these are called, but whatever your support here, it keeps the cable from coming apart. It does have an arrow on it, even to let you know that electricity flows better, this way through the cable. I hooked it up backwards and I don't know, messed my music up real bad. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't make any difference. I tried it both ways, and I didn't make any difference at all. Not that I could hear. Not a damn thing. Very nice cable, though. It is kind of thick, but yet whatever they're using, it's still fairly flexible. Yeah, great cable. The other end's the same. Very beautiful connectors. Fit well. I really don't have any complaints about the cable physically themselves. It looks really pretty. It's fair priced for how nice they look, and it does its job. But I don't remember if this came with the. Yeah, see, they make a whole bunch of different other cables. I think they're mostly. They have a website, I believe, but it seems like a lot of their stuff's just sold on Amazon. Let's look up their cables on Amazon. These are pretty much the same thing. Well, they are the same thing. They're just the RCAs. Mine, they are not listing the shorter ones here that I have. I have the 1.5 foot or point something, 0.6 meter or something. But it's the same thing. If you go down to the shorter ones like I have, then I think they're $29.99. This for a 2 meter, which would be a 6 foot, is $42.99. Getting a little more up there in price when they get longer. Not terrible compared to some other brands that are pretty proud of themselves. Let's see, do they have SKW? Never mind, it's thicker and tougher than most cables widely sold because SKW cables use more expensive materials which ensure reliable signal transmission. We got 24K gold-plated connectors ensure the cleanest sound experience. Don't buy into the gold-plated crap is making cables sound better. If they really cared about how it sounded, it would be copper plated. Gold is third in line. Silver, copper, gold, as far as conductivity. The nice thing about the gold is it resists corrosion very well. So having a clean connector, a corrosion-free connector, is good. That could improve your sound, but brand new out of the box, clean, they're not, being gold, it's not going to make it sound any better. If you keep these cables for 20 years and the gold resists corrosion, well, it's not going to make it sound any better. It's just going to make sure it sounds as good as it did when it was new. Aluminum alloy casting on the plugs or whatever on the ends, which is good. It even says right here, resist corrosion and reduces tarnish. That should be over here under the gold. High-end nylon braid, sturdy and durable. Although if you look at the cable close, the nylon braid isn't going to do anything to necessarily protect the cable. Because if you look close, the nylon braid is just the black, like fishnet over a gray cable. So the nylon braid is purely aesthetic. I can't see how it would protect it from too much, because it's like, see how it's easily, you could, I'm almost pulling it apart with my fingernails. It's an aesthetic thing, so it's fine. I just said they try to pass it off like this nylon braid stuff's gonna protect a cable. It's not. A cat will destroy that in seconds. It's been well thought out, designed, and built. Made with high quality materials and engineering. I mean, yeah, they do feel well made, sturdy and durable, designed as one organic structure, high strength protective layer, injection molding, professional welding, thickened gold plated connectors, excellent sound quality right here, clarity on highs and mids, solid bass, great transparency. Sound has more clarity, detail, and more open. They're setting up them psychoacoustics. They're setting the stage. You're going to read this stuff, and then when you plug the cable in, you're going to be tuned, listening for it. And the way your brain works, you're going to hear it. Well, most people. If you get skeptical like me, then it never works, I guess. Music and audio sounds perfect at any volume. Has nothing to do with your speakers, your amplifier, or the source. Oh man, I can't. It's just too easy. I mean, I hope people don't buy this stuff that easily. Obviously a lot of people do. I'm not saying you're stupid or anything. If you don't know what you don't know. So yeah, and then a lot of the high-end companies and even the faux high-end companies like to do these little grids showing all the things they do for their cable, but yet they never list any measurements. They should tell you all day about the materials, how it's built, where they got the materials. This copper's from a mountain in Japan, and this, gold is from Africa, and this old engineer from the 60s designed it or something. All these other things, which is all subjective. What they should be doing is making measurements of these cables with different audio equipment versus different cables, and trying to build a collection of data that could possibly show that these cables are doing something, or just the fact that we already have the scientific knowledge to know exactly how cables work, and the fact that cables like this will not do anything for you. Only in specific circumstances, if you need a shielded cable or for certain things. But for the average home hi-fi system and stuff, these cables, according to tons of science and engineering, shouldn't really do anything, especially if the equipment itself was properly engineered. Technical specifications, oh, here we go, up a notch. Stable transmission of 6 in, 99.9999%. Here we go. It's the OCC, also known as single crystal copper cable, combined with gold-plated ending, ensuring audio, video quality, reduced sound distortion. Again, show me that 6 in is better than no in, just 99%, or even 98%. Hell, show me that 99.9999% OCC copper is better than 95%. Nylon braided make cable more durable, flexible. Yeah. Not really. Just looks nice, which is fine. 24 karat gold plated head, anti-oxidation and damp, durable cable with OD 7mm. Okay, I don't care about the broken English. I'm sure they're doing their best. It's fine. But the 24 karat gold on the end of these is going to be probably some pretty crappy, unpure 24 karat gold. It's not. I don't know if there's like a jewelry grade or something like that, but it's not going to be that. That's for sure. And it's going to be less than paper thin, probably less than human hair thin. It's going to be just the most thin layer of crappy 24 karat gold on the cable, just enough to prevent corrosion. Innovation and cutting edge technology in this special audio cable with silver microconductors for over 14 years. There's no proof that silver sounds better over copper. Has lower resistance than copper per given foot, I believe, but you can also make up that difference with just a slightly heavier gauge of copper, and it's still cheaper than using silver. Great signal for great sound while maneuvering the ends. Sound is terrific without distortion. Short. I don't know. Installation was easy. Have very elegant touch when plugging. Okay, this is like testimonials. That's the other thing. They do testimonials. People swearing up and down. I plugged this in, and my life had changed. This is the best my music could ever sound. Worth every penny. This one is very solid, aesthetically pleasing, and has great sound quality. Definitely worth the extra few dollars if you value longevity. I do value longevity, but don't have to really do this. And then compatibility. Yeah, it works with anything with an RCA plug. Imagine that. And yeah, then there's a bunch of people saying how amazing these cables are. And I plugged them in, and just instantly I could hear a difference. It's weird is I plugged these cables in to several different systems, varying amplifiers, DACs, speakers, and I could not instantly hear a difference any of the times at all. So maybe I just have terrible hearing or something. Hear absolutely zero difference. I even had during doing a lot of testing with these cables and stuff, I'll even have the wife come down and listen to stuff on them, and she's probably the best test subject for me because she gives zero craps about any of this stuff. She thinks it's all stupid. But she does like music, and she does like listening to music, so she'll come down and listen to music. But when and I don't even really have to blind test her because she has no idea what the cables are. She could give a crap what they look like. So she's, clueless, and I'm just listening to a song and changing the cables and asking her if she hears any difference at all, and no, nothing, ever. Not too bad, though. I'll give SKW the benefit of the doubt that they do make a nice cable without you having to refinance your home. Next, as this video is already getting really, oh my god, this video is getting way long. Next is going to be a USB cable. Got a couple over here. Standard one. I don't know. This is just an Amazon Basics one right here. I use it with all kinds of stuff. Then I got this one, came with I think it was a Sound Blaster or Creative, like old Audiophile external sound card from like back in the early 2000s. Came with this nice shielded, steel braided, whatever, gold plated USB cable. It's a very nice USB cable. I didn't keep it because it sounds any better. I keep it because it's nice. It's just a nice cable. And then this guy, I am like, oh, there's all these people talking about, fancy USB cables make things sound better. This one's pretty fancy. It's got nice gold-plated ends, some heat shrink here that is okay because they put words on it. If they didn't put those words there, then it would be cheap, but they put words on it. So, and there's an arrow too. USB only works in one direction, so I have not had that problem with like charging my phone and other things with USB, but this USB cable works best if you go that way. And then you got this nice, I can't actually read who makes the cable. It's a Ockham high performance 4 ends. They love throwing them ends around. 4N. So this is only 99.99%. This is garbage. OFC audio cable. There's some more arrows. Even the company that makes the cables, like this cable, electricity flows through it better this way. And then you got some really these nice fancy ferrite chokes on the end that if the USB device is made properly, these chokes are 100% not needed and will not make a difference. If you got some crappy audio gear that's not engineered properly, then maybe. But yeah, see, it's a ferrite choke under there. They have this nice little aluminum housing they have that goes over it, and it's got a little set screw there. It's just, man, somebody sees this cable in your system, they know you're serious. This cable means my system sounds better than yours. Nice, thick, super stiff. I hope your DAC weighs at least like 10 pounds. Otherwise, this cable's just going to like push it across the desk. But yeah, anyway, I'll get down to it. Tried this cable with a whole bunch of different DACs recently with my SMSL M200, which measures and performs extremely well. All the way down to the FX Audio DAC X6 and stuff, and then several amps, DACs in between. And no, made zero difference. This USB cable sounds no different than these two at all. At all. And like I said, most of the time, if the USB device is engineered properly and they take into the account of how USB works and that USB power is not perfect and it's dirty, they can accommodate for these things in the device. You don't need a fancy cable to fix these problems. That's, so it comes in this is the box it comes in. Nothing in the box. It's just an empty box. I was hoping it would come with some more fun subjective adjectives, some good late night reading. The Amazon site, it's not expensive. It's $35, which is, it's not expensive necessarily, but it's expensive for a USB cable. But it's not expensive compared to, there's USB cables that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for some reason. Brand is KK Cable. That almost didn't go right. Yeah, they don't really put too much. Just says top quality and made by environmental friendly material. That's nice, I guess. But yeah, they don't put any fancy stuff on it. I think they did when I bought it, and maybe they removed it. It just says some basic stuff. It's a type A to B USB, which is normal, 4N OFC wire, which means nothing. Works great with DACs. It does. It does work with DACs. It didn't make them sound any better. Although when I used it with my printer, the color got a little better. That's weird. Top quality and made by environmental friendly materials. Simple packaging. They're right. It is simple. It's just an empty box with a cable in it. But yeah, they don't themselves. They don't put out a bunch of subjective advertising with it, which is fine, I guess. I think they bank on this selling itself. That's this fat audiophile looking USB cable with these big ferrite chokes on there. Aesthetically, it screams pretentious audiophile cable. That's probably what they were going for. And I'm sure this cable cost them a couple bucks to make, if that. And then you always got the awesome people down here. Oh man, this cable. Oh, with this cable, the veil was lifted so far back I can finally hear the visible spectrum color of my music. He's being sarcastic. So he still gave it 5 stars. I mean, some of these people are giving it 5 stars because they actually think it sounds different, and maybe it does for them. Some people are giving it 5 stars because it is really well made and it's not terribly expensive. That's usually what I shoot for when I buy cables like this to try. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars on a cable just to find out it doesn't sound any better, because I've tried other cables that cost much more than these in the past and they've never made a difference, other than if you have like a noise problem, I had a subwoofer once where the power cable or the signal cable just had to run by an outlet with a bunch of stuff plugged in, and I was picking up some hum, and I just went and bought a decent shielded cable, nothing insanely expensive, and it fixed the problem. I didn't need $1,000 cable to fix that problem, or whatever. And then I have had some other power cables I've tried in the past. I think one was like $250 years ago. It wasn't a monster cable. I want to say it was like Audio Research, but maybe not. It was like navy blue. I don't know. Didn't sound any different than the standard cable I had. I think is that all I got for cables? That's all the cables I got. These are the cables I've been messing with. I have some other ones coming. I'm gonna try, but I don't do a whole lot with cables too often, just because most of the time they've never really made any sort of difference for me. If they make a difference for you, fine, that's great. If you don't really care if they make a difference and you just like the way they look, fine. Most of the time I shoot for cables that are just good quality, like these. They're not terribly expensive. I think either one of these are like $10 for a pair. They're really well made. They're shielded, nice heavy metal connectors. They're gonna last a long time. And like I said, they're only like $10. I think that's going to conclude it for this video. It got way longer than I thought it was going to be. So leave your cable experiences down below. It's not really a fight over whether you think cables make a difference or not. If you plug in a nice cable and you think you can hear the difference or whatever, whether it's psychological or not, if it's doing it for you, whatever. I just like talking about it. The advertising and some of the stuff they put behind these cables is just, it's so obviously ridiculous. I would really like to see these high-end companies at least put out some kind of measurements or something, you know, show that they do testing with these cables, and maybe even get more creative with some of the other marketing, because it's been the same old really pretentious subjective marketing over and over. With a lot of these cables and cable companies. There probably is a few of them out there, but cable companies that their advertising is more focused just on a long-lasting, durable cable, maybe. I don't know. Comments are always welcome. Just be nice. Have a good night, guys.